When you interview an eccentric rock star legend like DEE SNIDER, you literally never know what you're gonna get.
I said, man, someone could metal that up.
But we had an amazing and deep chat. We talk about his new album, Leave a Scar. We talk about his legacy standing up against censorship, and also why he thinks rock stars will never die. Here's my chat with OGD.
I'm OG, man. Jamie calls me OGD, the heaviest rocker.
D, thank you for doing this. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but first and foremost, excited to be talking about Leave a Scar, specifically because it's like the record that almost didn't happen. I remember back in 2019, you were saying that you were going to be done with recording and touring. What's the catalyst that made you decide that you had to rock again?
The world. I mean, sitting there and watching everything come apart at the seams, the pandemic, but also the political state of things all everywhere, not just the United States. I mean, that was close to home for me, but you're seeing Brexit going on, and you're seeing Brazil, and you're seeing sign of the times. That Donald Trump is a sign of the times. People go, he's referencing NWA. Yeah. I just heard Ice Cube's voice going, hey, Dre, what, Cube? I got something to say. And I was like, I haven't written a word or written a song since the 90s with Widowmaker. I said, I need to write something. I need to say something. And I called up Jamey. I said, hey, Jay. He said, what, D? I said, I got something to say. And we started down the road.
So let's talk about Jamey for a minute. Let's talk about Jamey Jasta. It's second record with him in the producer's chair. When did you initially hook up with him and make the decision to get him to work on For the Love of Metal? And then, he clearly blew your mind because he's back for round 2.
I have never recorded with subsequent albums with the same producer ever. Once I decided to go back and do a record, I knew it would be Jamey and the team. And the first album, it was Jamey's idea, Jamey's vision. He saw a record with DEE SNIDER on it that had a place in the contemporary metal scene, and he saw a place for me. And one of the things he says, we've lost some of the greats over the years, Lemmy, and we've lost Ronnie. And he goes, and you've got one of those voices. We need your voice. So I took the challenge. I didn't know what I was in for because I knew Jamey Jasta. I didn't, the screamer, I don't say that in a derogatory way, not a melody guy. So I didn't know where he was going to take this. But then he showed me my place in the music scene today, in the metal scene today, and helped me create an album that I was so proud of. So proud that it's one of the reasons I felt like drop the mic, walk away. Top 20 album in the United States Billboard charts. I'm done. But then the world happened. And so, like I said, not even a second thought, like, who will I record with? It was like, call up Jamey. Let's get the machine going.
You talk about, the state of the world being a main motivator in deciding that you want to do another record. Did that cause you to go into it a little more pissed off than usual? Or what was the mindset going into it?
Yeah, it's a good question. Somebody asked me a similar question. I was considering it. Like, I hadn't written a lyric or a song since Widowmaker. Stand By for Pain, which was a very angry, aggressive record. I was at a career and life low at that point. I was mad at the world, and it was reflected in the songs. And so I don't know, did I not have something to say all these years? Or did it just things get so bad that I had to say something? That was part of it. And also that I knew I had a place to say it. Maybe that was part of it. That Jamey showed me my place and that people were going to pay attention. I wouldn't just be shouting, screaming in the night, as the song goes.
That's exactly what Jamey does. That's what Hatebreed's all about, is he's screaming very purposefully and with a lot of intention in what he's saying. And I think that maybe hardcore attitude mentality does shine a little in this record, man. When I'm reading the lyrics, when I'm listening to it, I listened to the record twice already. It's fucking kick ass.
Thank you.
I think it's interesting that this is a solo record because for me, your kind of musical journey has always been a bit of a solo effort. JJ and Eddie may have been playing riffs, but when you flip over all my favorite Twisted records, it's all music and lyrics by DEE SNIDER. Has the approach really changed for you, the way you're writing music now versus the way you were writing music then?
Well, I mean, good observation. Me alone, writing and creating everything on my own. That ended with the band Desperado and working with Bernie Torme, because I never had written with anybody. So I was very, very, I don't know what the word is, but like almost protective. Like I'd hide in my room and I'd create things. And the band kind of rejected me. They were like a couple of friends. They were a bunch of friends from New York City, and I was a suburban Long Island, younger than them, and they kind of treated me like a rube. And the truth was, I was a rube, I was a dork, but it made me feel very alone. And I created in that fashion. When I met Bernie Torme, I met a kindred spirit, and we started writing songs together. So when I moved to Widowmaker, I started writing with Al Petrelli. So now I was comfortable with sharing the writing duties, and I saw that they were better for it. The love of metal, Jamey and Charlie Belmore primarily, but we had outside help, as you know, Howard Jones and Mark Morton and Ollie from All the Remains, may he rest in peace, and Joel Grind, who for some reason is getting credit for all the songs. In some places, they're saying Joel Grind wrote the song. He wrote a riff on one song, and I love it. Thank you. But this time I knew we had the team. We didn't need to go outside. And Jamey said, come on board, man. We love having you. So it was me, Charlie Belmore, and Jamey Jasta writing all the songs together.
I find it interesting that you've gone this direction, because you can go any direction. Did you consciously decide that this was going to be the more aggressive metal record? And, obviously we got Corpse Grinder on there with literal death metal vocals. When was that decision made to go that full metal assault?
It comes from who I am inside. While I have done a wide range of things, and and I enjoy doing other things, but I love metal. I love aggressive, powerful metal. I'm telling older rockers, it is the fountain of freaking youth. And thanks to my 4 grown children who are all metalheads, they have continued to always keep me connected. That's why I'm aware of George, because my kids say, Dad, check this out. Dad, take me to this concert, take me to that concert. And I would go to all these shows, see these bands, meet these bands, listen to these music with my kids. As far as George goes, that was my idea. And I was so funny. It was a great moment. We're recording Time to Choose, which was supposed to be a bonus track. I said, hey, it'd be great on this, George Fisher. Jamie goes, George Corpse Grinder Fisher, assuming I must know another George Fisher because did he used to play with the band Free back in the 60s? Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, Corpse Grinder. He goes, damn, you're always pushing it to be heavier and harder. And I'm like, yeah, man. I wanted to be a punch in the face, but it turns out that someone from my generation, my world, the heritage rockers, classic, whatever, I didn't realize that none of us ever acknowledge death metal, if only to look down at it maybe or make fun of it. Nobody reaches across and says, hey, join me. Jamie said that George practically got emotional, but I'm really glad I did it because I've always been a champion of metal in all its forms. I think we're stronger as a community if we support each other. You don't have to love it all. So you just got to acknowledge the other forms of metal, respect it, accept it, support it, champion it. You don't got to listen. You don't got to buy if you're not a fan of it. I get that. But at least stand up for it.
And your inclusion of Jamey and Corpse Grinder, Cannibal Corpse and Hatebreed, both incredibly relevant bands, both with amazing new records. You really do champion new metal. And you touched on something I love is that you talk about some, your old school rocker friends. The old guard and the new guard have a big disconnect. There's guys from that old guard who believe that rock and roll is dead. Rock stars don't exist anymore.
Oh, that makes me crazy.
I know it does. I want to get you going on that, man, because I love that you've stayed in touch. I know that you're going to shows with your kids. I know that you listen to new shit and you help promote new shit. Tell me about this idea that rock stars don't exist anymore.
Well, the biggest guy who keeps saying this and hammering it and repeating it, doubling down, is Gene Simmons. And, people go, what do you hate Kiss? I have the first 7 Kiss records. Okay. So I'm a Kiss fan, but that talk like that rock is dead. There's no, there'll never be another Dylan. There'll never be another Hendrix. Don't even bother to pick up a guitar was one of his comments. Is so self-serving, so selfish. The idea that, if it's not what I did, it's not real rock and roll. It's just bullshit. And, and all you gotta do is take off your damn blinders, get out of your damn house, go to a smaller venue, go to a festival that features these kind of bands, and you will see talent, you will see passion, you will see from the stage and the audience. I go with my kids to see shows and see bands that got nothing to live for except that moment. They don't expect to get rich and famous. They just hope to get to the next damn gig. And they are playing their damn hearts out. It breaks my heart to see that passion that I had but I had at least a hope that I could make a living out of it. There was a hope you could be a rock star. It was I'm going to be a rock star. Now it's just like they do it because they love it. They do it because they gotta. You got to support the community. Just open your eyes, open your ears. Just ask your stupid Spotify for something new. Put on a new list of music. You're going to hear greatness.
You point something out that not enough people recognize, is that this idea of music and rock stars is because it was ubiquitous. You could go down the goddamn street and there's billboards. It doesn't matter if you were into a band or not, they were shoved down your throat. Now, to discover your new modern rock stars, you do have to seek them out. You're only going to know about them if you're into that type of music.
Yeah, and I love that you use ubiquitous. Beautiful. That's a beautiful word. People, if you don't know the word, break out, go online, look it up. Ubiquity was a key to becoming a rock star. I remember there was an advertisement for a Grand Funk Railroad album, and it was in Times Square. The people who put up the billboards went on strike for a year. Could anybody lived in Manhattan and say, just walk up to a grandmother and go, hey, you know what Grand Funk Railroad is? That's that stupid guys with the afro. And they advertised on buses. They advertised in mainstream newspapers. It crossed over. MTV was the biggest crossover thing, where you saw hip hop artists and metal artists and pop artists in the same hour. So there was awareness, and that's what makes a rock star, is that people know who you are and you become larger than life through that. Target marketing through social media, while it really gets to the fan, it does not get the word out to a wider audience and open up the opportunity. Metallica didn't sell a gazillion million records on the Black record because only metalheads were buying it. Mm-hmm. That ubiquity got it to the other people. So, whoa, I really like that too. Those opportunities aren't there anymore.
Yeah, and it shows so much too, like in the simplest way, the Billboard charts. Like, to chart on the Billboard what you have to sell now versus what you would sell then, it's insane. Like, there are no more Appetites, there are no more Black albums that like everyone from every musical corner buys.
And you know what? And that was a two-way street, that they got exposed to some stuff. Well, that's a pretty cool record. To be honest, I really like My Prerogative by Bobby Brown. I thought that was kind of a heavy groove. I said, man, someone could metal that up.
There's a lot of cool themes on the record. One lyrical one that really struck with me, it's like, I think the most DEE song on the record is Stand. Obviously, because it reinforces something that I've always admired about you, is your ability to, stand up and leave your mark and fight for what's right. And of course, I want to talk about, and tied into the PMRC, hearing your testimony, which is like, life-changing for everyone, but especially for a dude like me who was dressed like that every day of his life, and watching you be a total badass.
Excuse me, are you going to tell me you're a big fan of my music as well?
No, I'm not.
I think it ties in well with what Banger does as well. Our documentaries are all about showing, like, we're not just drunk metalheads circle pitting.
People have said that started to change the day I was there and opened my mouth in 1985. People said, wait a second. Literally, there was that, what? He's ubiquitous. There you go. But that what moment, that is not what I expected to hear from this guy. But I knew the answer. I knew that we understand that this is our way of releasing the darker emotions that are inside all of us.
I believe in the music I play, to try and say, hey, this isn't a bad thing. This is fun. This is fantasy. Kids are coming out. They're screaming. They're yelling. They're letting out their emotions. And they're going home and they're feeling better because they let out a lot of their frustrations.
Everybody deals with anger, frustration, depression, sorrow, heartbreak. These are ugly emotions. They require powerful release, and we get it through the music we love. Everybody comes out of that circle pit smiling and sweaty. Everybody. Okay? And the bands are smiling and sweaty too, because we feel better because we let that out, and it felt great letting it out in a safe, healthy way instead of punching somebody in the face or killing somebody. It was important to me to shock the shit out of them and go as who I was, how I walked down the streets. I knew what people thought of me. I know it's the reason why they invited me there, is because they thought I was a freaking idiot. They thought I had to be a stupid, dumb, heavy metal guy. And just showing everybody they're wrong and make them second guess from that point on. Oh, be careful with metalheads. Yeah, there's some stupid ones. There are some real dumb ones. They would have done a lot better with Vince Neil on testifying than me. But be careful, because most of us aren't. stupid or dumb. And we know words like ubiquitous. So fuck you.
Yeah. You see this crumpled ass piece of paper I got in my back pocket? It says ubiquitous on it.
On the other side, because I am ubiquitous at this moment.
Do you think that battle, the censorship of the artist, like, do you think that's a battle that an artist is ever going to be able to win, or will for the rest of eternity? Is it the responsibility of the artist to continually fight for what they believe in?
There will be battles won, but the war will not be won. And I get it, and part of me feels sorry for conservatives. And now it's actually a lot of socially conscious liberals who are very PC and worried about offending people and hurting feelings. So that's the new censorship, by the way. It went from the puritanical right to the socially conscious left. Robert Quivers once said to me, and I wrote it down, "What good is a line if you don't cross it?" And I feel bad for those people who are trying to hold back the tide, because they keep giving us an inch and then we keep pushing, we keep stepping over the line. They keep going, okay, you can say crap and damn, but you can't say ass. And then next thing you know, he's an ass. And oh no, they push back the line again, So it's our job to keep stepping over the line, and it's their job to keep drawing those lines. And what fun would it be if there was no line to cross?
Exactly. You get fucking bored. And think about how far that line's come since the Filthy 15 too. It's like hilarious to look at those songs.
Oh my God. Somebody just brought this up to me the other day. And I said, here it was innuendo, that was a big thing. And metaphor, sink the pink. Oh, what is he talking about? Ooh, and now it's just like wet pussy. Where is the metaphor in that? There's nothing clever about that, hip hop community. Nothing clever. We were clever, at least. I think if they knew what was coming, they would have just skipped right over the Filthy 15 and say, listen, let's not waste our time here. There's a bigger battle to come. Look, gangster rap is coming. My God, we're not going to take it. Filthy 15?
I know.
It's on a women's premenopausal medication commercial, for God's sakes.
Unbelievable. I've heard you talking in the old days, I've heard you refer to yourself as the front man and head of security when talking about those early biker gigs and the early club days with Twisted Sister. Can you elaborate on some of that sketchiness that you might have found yourself in back in those days?
Violence was just imminent at all times at a Twisted Sister gig. I've had straight razors held to my throat at shows. We got out of that one. We've had gang fights, wound up with people hospitalized and cars being literally pushed into canals. And just crazy aggression and hostility. And I think that we were bringing it out in people. You had the people who were releasing their anger, through the intensity and the raucousness of a Twisted show. But then you had people who hated what we stood for, and they were looking to release that same anger and frustration, but on the band. And it was my job, and I was wearing literally women's clothing at that point, to jump off the stage or climb off the stage and go after people and get in fights, because the audience like a rabid dog. If you don't smack it down, it's going to turn on you. Now you got to go home and tell your dad that a guy wearing silver lame and red spike heel boots beat the shit out of you. There's no honor in having a drag queen kick your ass. There's no honor in that. That's the ultimate humiliation. So but that's what it was like for many years in those bars. I would walk through every doorway throwing a front block just in case somebody was to bring a bat or swing waiting for me out the door, because people reacted very violently towards Twisted Sister. We had those who loved us and those who hate us. And the problem with beating people up now, and I ran into this problem, my last time beating somebody up was opening for Dio in 1984, Worcester Centrum in Connecticut. And a guy threw a bottle, and I climbed off the stage, over the barricade, over 8 rows of chairs, and dove on this guy and beat him up. Next morning, I was awoken by my manager, accountant, agent, and lawyers screaming at me, what? They go, what did you do last night? I said, what? He said, you beat some kid up? I said, yeah, he threw a bottle. I said, you can't do that. Said, why? He says, your money. Now you're a target. You're going to get sued. As Sebastian Bach learned when he dove out in the audience, he threw that bottle back, remember?
Yeah.
And so that was the end of my beating up the audience days. And they got me a bodyguard. And I remember the first time he beat somebody up for me, he says, "How was that, boss?" I said, "Well, kind of like watching your wife get banged by some another guy. It looked good, but it wasn't as much fun."
That's unreal. Any plans for getting back on the road for the record?
For sure, but I don't think it's going to be the 2022. Right now, everything's sort of iffy, and there's a show here or there might pop up, but I think really, everything's going to be back to normal in 2022. And I just want to go out and sing "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll" with new meaning, because when I wrote the song, I would never thought would come a time where they stopped it for almost 2 years. And we've got a live stream coming with the band and me, and it's going to be announced any day, but it's going to be available on all platforms all over the place, and a lot of new music, a lot of classic twisted stuff, and it was just great to perform in front of a packed house again. COVID was thrown to the wind and people were rocking, so it was great.
Dude, you've done everything. What's the last thing that's on the bucket list? You've done everything.
I haven't directed a movie yet. I'm directing my first film, My Enemy's Enemy, which I wrote next spring. It was supposed to be this fall, but it got pushed back. But so it'll be my directorial debut, and I'm hoping that'll be a whole new world for me, because I really want to get off the stage and not in front of the lights, and be more behind the camera, behind the scenes, producing, writing, directing, doing things like that, because that's something I feel I can just keep doing forever. Well, until I burst into flames and disappear from this mortal coil.
You got to crowd surf out, guys. DEE SNIDER, Leave a Scar, July 30th, Napalm Records. Watch the live stream, order the record.
Good night. All right, see you guys. All right, whoa. Hey, that's my balls.